Assalamu alaikum. This is Dr. Rahman Ali, University of Peshawar. In this lecture number 2 of the course Business Research Method, we are going to discuss some of the fundamental of business research, mainly including characteristic, objective, and advantages, with the main focus on its objective, that why we need business research, and if we avoid this research in our businesses, what will happen, and what will be the consequences. So in this lecture we will go through this content. We will have a recap of the lecture number 1 of this course, then brief overview of the definition of the business, characteristic of the business, purpose of the business research, some benefit of this research, and we will look into the functional areas where a business research can be conducted, and then some information about the next lecture, lecture number 3 of this course. Uh, in this recap of lecture number first, which we can see and we can watch from this URL, we discuss in this lecture some of the practical examples of business research, and we tried to practically practice those problems, and let the viewer and the student know that how they can differentiate between a research problem and simply a search problem. So in this lecture number first part 2, we discuss 5 to 6 scenario cases with practical execution and simulation and Microsoft Excel and Vega. If you are interested, you can view that lecture from this URL. Uh, in the first lecture, we have covered this, that what is a business research. So here it's a quick recap, that a business research is a systematic problem in which we take the data, then we analyze this data, and after analysis we get the results, and based on that result we get the decision. So in our last lecture, we showed all these steps practically by taking the data, then applying some business research method, quantitative or qualitative methods from MS Excel and Weka environment, and we got with some knowledge in the form of rules, in the form of decision tree, and based on that, the tree and decisions rule can be used by business managers for their strategic planning and from other uh, decisions. So in this today's lecture, uh, we are going to focus that what are the key characteristic of a business research. Normally, each and every field has its own way of research, and generally the acceptable model of research that is same, but in some of the domain some specific characteristic are there for each field. So in case of business research, we are going to look into some of the characteristic of a business research. The first one is it's a systematic and organized approach, which is true for all kind of research and different field. That it means that you cannot skip any of the mandatory steps during the course of business research. You must have to follow the sequence which is well established and well agreed by the researcher and scientists in the field of business. The second characteristic is that this research must be objective or oriented. You cannot do a research if you are not clear that what I am going to do. So this is the key characteristic, one of the key characteristic, that it must be objective oriented. The third characteristic of business research as its transdiscipline approach. What we can say here is that it's a multidisciplinary approach, and we cannot take it as a single entity to complete a business research. We can take we can borrow some of the concept from discipline X, some from Y, and some from Z, and it will give us solution to the business problem in the form of a business research. So if we take an example, a business research can borrow the concept from statistic, can borrow the some of the concepts from economics, some of the concepts from management, and combining all these three, we can complete a business research. Another characteristic of business research is that information access is difficult. What does this mean? That business businesses always keep their data protected and confidential. They never want to disclose their business model, their transaction information and data of their customers, daily transaction, their bank information. These are highly important information, and they are kept secure and protected. And if a business cannot do it, the customer will not come toward that business, and they will search from other business partner and from other places. So if we are going, if this is the real scenario, and we want to go and have some business research on the real data of some businesses, how we will collect this data? That's of confidential nature, and the business owner and the executives of that business, they will never let us have access to their data. So this is another characteristic which is an issue for business researcher as well. Another characteristic of a business research is that always the managers need process data, and this data is not always readily available in this format. It's in databases, it's in text files, it's in Excel file, and it's in some other platform data storage format. So whenever the top level executive or manager, they need to have some decision, they need the process data. So this is another characteristic, that this data need to be transformed to some interpretable and easily understandable format in the form of charts, graphs, and some universally acceptable formats. So this is another characteristic. And if we look into another characteristic from the point of view of decision making by the business owner or the executives, so it says that practical problem can help in decision making. If we are going with a research problem which is not which is not contributing to the solution of a actual problem of a business, it's not a research. So this is the key characteristic, that this problem must be a practical oriented, and its approach should be a solution to the practical problem of a business. So these are some of the characteristics that we must have to keep in our mind while doing business research. Now we are moving to another topic of business research, the fundamental of business research, that why we need business research, or we can say that what are the objectives of business research. If any business don't have this idea of business research, and they are just a manufacturing organization, and they are just selling their product without going into the business the field of R&D, research and development, then what will be the consequences? So why we need this? The first thing is that uh, we need this business research for decision making. If we are not going to analyze the situation in depth, and and taking some of the insights of the data or the practices done so far, then how we will be able to come up with a decision for a new product, or for a new market, or for branding the image. We cannot do it. So for this decision making, if we are going to shift our business from the current one to a new one, demanding based on the demands of the market, so we cannot move without having a research. uh, the second objective or purpose of business research is to identify new projects and the way how they can be implemented. If we have business research, and what we will do, we will analyze the present situation. We will look into the sale of our products in the market. So we will look into the present situation of our product in the market, and we will find some of the aspect that which we need to improve. For that, we will expect our future, and we will have to move the current situation to the future situation, to the expected situation. For that, we will need to have a research how we will know, how we will analyze this business situation to move our business to the future status, to a competitive position in the market. For that, we need a business research, and if we can do it, we can easily identify the new projects, and then we can identify that how these projects can be implemented. So identification of the new projects and their implementation, they are based on research. If you are not keeping your business under a continuous research, that you cannot find new projects, you cannot go for new products, and then how you cannot develop new ideas, and you cannot materialize that idea into some real implementation in the form of products or services of your business. Uh, Another way or another objective of business research is that organization formulate their policies based on the research. When they go for research, they research the scenario, then they can formulate a new policy. Just consider a scenario over here, that if the government is really interested to eliminate the issue of smoking in youngster, and keep this society uh, clean from such kind of unhealthy activity. So they will analyze the current situation, they will analyze the current youth, and from that situation they will plan that if this ratio in the youngster is 50%, their tendency is towards smoking. So the government will set their policy that we have to reduce it to 10%, for example. And in that case, they will set a policy, and the policy will be that no shopkeeper or no salesperson will be allowed to sell the smoking items or a cigarette to the youngster below age 18. So this will become a policy statement, and this policy statement is not possible without without having a real research. Another objective of business research is to analyze the situation. If we are going to start a new project, if we are going to start a new product and want to launch it in the market, first we need to understand the concept of whether it's economically, socially, and scheduling it's feasible or not. From all factors we will look into at the feasibility, that it's the right time, right place, and whether we have the required amount of required amount of time and resources in terms of money or not. So this is only possible if you can go with the business research and check the market, ask the customers, and have some survey of the market that this product will make its way to the business or not. Another objective of business research is that we can search the market. We can have market research, and just look into this diagram. These are the customer, and they have done a lot of shopping. They have purchased different items. So market research means that you go into the market and look what people buy, what they like, and what they want to have in the product which are not yet there. So all these kinds of activity can only be determined and can only be identified when you have a business research in the form of market research. And another reason or objective for business research is that you can only bring innovation into your product if you are a good business researcher. You can compare the product of your competitors, and you can identify the limitation or some of the loopholes of the products in the current market, and you can target that particular aspect and come with an idea of some innovation and uniquenesses. So this is only possible if you have a business research. And another reason for having business research is that you can brand your corporate or your product if you can have a business research. Otherwise it's not possible to brand your image, or to build your image, or to brand your product. Apart from these, some of the other reasons or objectives of business research is to establish the relationship between different functional area of the businesses, that how production is related to the demand of the product in the market, or how the cost price is associated and in a relationship with the product, with the price, And similarly, production department also can be helped out. If we have a business research, we can guide them to manufacture quality product or in more number, or to focus on which aspect of the production cell. It's only possible with business research. Similarly, the purchase and material department, they also can be helped out if you have business research. If you know that what's the demand and supply current situation, what will be the future demand, so you can easily identify that what to buy, when to buy, where to buy, and with what price to buy. So this is only possible with a business research. Similarly, a market researcher, they also need to have the concept of business research, otherwise market research is not possible. uh, Similarly, financial institution like banking and non-banking other organization as well, they also need business research for the purpose of making in-depth study on economic condition of the business and people, that what's the actual situation, and where we lie, and how we should uh, move onward. Similarly, HR department, they can also they also need the business research. They can best analyze their current the job status of their current employee, assignment assigned to the employer, and they can schedule uh, work breaks. They can better decide the recruitment policy, and they can best decide the optimization, that how much we should keep the ratio of the employees within our business. So these were some of the reasons that we need to have business research, and we can call it that why we have business research, or we can say that what are the objective of business research. Now, having discussion on all these topics, like characteristic of the business research and why we need business research, now we are in a position to better say that what are the advantages of business research. So it will always help us in identifying opportunity and threats. If there are opportunity, we have to head that, and if there are some threats and we are in a risk situation, which can be done with the help of risk analysis, then we have to protect ourselves from those threats by starting some business strategy. And another advantage is that it can help us in identifying new problems, and based on that new problems we can initiate new projects, and we can also have the approach, and we can also come up with some good strategy to tackle those issues in a proper way. Another advantage can be we can best understand our customer. If we have a business research, we can go to our customer, we can have communication with them in the form of questionnaires, in the form of interviews, and serving them, observing them, and we can best understand them, and thus we can come up with some solution to the problem identified during those surveys of the customers. Another advantage can be that we can minimize the risk and uncertainties. If we have good researchers, and we by ourselves are adopting the research in our businesses, then we can predict in advance that what will be the situation. We can forecast, we can predict. And if you remember in our last lecture, we having uh, some examples of predictions and forecasting. So that prediction and forecasting can keep us safe from the risky situation and uncertain situation. Similarly, financial outcome and investment will be needed. Uh, they can be planned effectively if we have business research. Similarly, tracking competition in the business sector, it's another advantage that we can come up with some good strategy and effective strategy against our competitors in the market if we are a good business researcher. And it can also have it can enable the company to make wise decision. That's sure that's clear. And from the very start of this course, we are moving around this decision making aspect of the businesses and business research. So it helps the companies to have wise decision. Similarly, company can stay up to date. This is one of the most important advantage of business. If a business has no research, how they will know that what's the current situation of the market, what are the trends, what will be the future demand of the customer. So if they have no research, they will be outdated and the competitor will lead the market. Similarly, mm, we can have this can help to measure the reputation of the organization. Uh, so these were some of the advantages of business research. Now, if we go and look into the different areas of business research, that what are those, we talk a lot about the business research, its characteristic, advantages, and we also looked from some practical perspective. Then what are those areas where we can have a business research, and where there are some potential for business research? So almost all the functional area of a business, they have the potential for business research. Take it starting from HR to legal department, purchasing, operation, production, sale, customer services, and all these areas can be explored, and some new ideas and new methodologies and new techniques can be applied just for the objective to promote the business and to have mm, a good image of the business. So we can also call it scope of the business research, that in which area we can have a research. So in our next lectures, we will have discussion on this functional area of the business research. Here mm, we can just enlist some of the research areas from these functional areas, uh, like from marketing we can have marketing analysis as a research, uh, financial analysis, brand analysis, production analysis, risk analysis, competitor analysis, demand analysis, distribution analysis. These are some of the research topics from the functional area of the business research. And we will have our next lecture on this. You can follow that from visiting this YouTube channel. Uh, and learn about these business research topics. Uh, so the next lecture will be functional area of the businesses, and you can find those lectures by subscribing this channel. If you like this video, you can subscribe, you can have comments on the video, and we will try to best answer uh, to your comments, and you can share it further with the relevant friends. Okay, thank you.